All right, so leading up to the event this weekend, I want to go over a couple different things. One of those things being scouting. Scouting is essentially where you are going to be watching the other teams that you're going to be playing throughout the event so that you know their tendencies. What's their breakout look like? What's each individual player like to do during the game? Are they sloppy? Do they run slow? All those things, because we're going to use those tendencies in our game planning to target the weak link, right? If we can get that early elimination off the break, if we know how they close games, the little things they do in the middle of the game, we may be able to bait them and shoot them when they go to make a move and work as a team together to do that kind of thing. So anyway, we're going to go over scouting. All right, guys, so a couple things that I suggest that you get to scout is going to be some layouts if they're available. If not, just bring paper so you can kind of see a place to document all this stuff, right? Obviously, pens, it's a good idea to have a clipboard or someplace to write. So, what are we doing when we're scouting? What I've found when I go to, like, let's say NXL events is the easiest thing to explain, is they're gonna release a schedule. Like usually I'm gonna be playing in X-ball matches, so at that point, what usually happens is like in my bracket, my squad would play, and then you're usually gonna have a team that you'll play later in the tournament, playing either right after you or 2 games after, sometimes before you. But what we're gonna do at those events, and these are obviously multiple day events, is I'm going to check the schedule a day ahead of time and just see, is there any of these matches that I can go watch, before our match. So I don't get there 1 hour before my match to just prepare for myself, but I got to be prepared for myself. And also we want to have this information if it's available so that, again, we can have the most effective breakout. So we're going to adjust our schedule at those events just to make sure that we're getting there early if we need to, or as early as we need to, so we can be prepared, and staying as late as we need to also, right? Also, we're going to situate people so that we know, like, Danny's going to go scout this team and everything like that, so that we know we got somebody on that, because we definitely want to have the data, and it's way better to have 1 or 2 people watching it or more gathering that data than having nobody, because the last thing you want to do is go in underprepared when that information is available. So now a couple things that I'll do before events, especially for NXL, but like I said, you still do this locally, so don't think this is like out of the question by any means, is I'll actually go into Photoshop and I'll put 2 field layouts. Like I'll go in Photoshop and on one piece of paper, I'll put 2 layouts, right? So I got the 2 layouts, I could use this. I'll usually put the team names on here, team name. So that a space for that anyway, so that I can go in and manually write it. Now again, you don't have to go do anything fancy like this. Like I'll make these things up and print off like 50 of them so that we have a bunch of space to do the scouting and make it easy. But you can print off just blank layouts, right? Like you can bring just pieces of paper to kind of map that out, right? But there's a couple ways when you're scouting also to document this. I like to do it this way, where I've got a map for each game, so I can go through and mark down like where the team that I'm watching went. In that time also, when I'm scouting at national events, is I'll have someone else watch the other team. So even if we don't play the other team, we're still watching what they're doing and documenting that also, so we can kind of see, this is what these guys did, here's how this went, right? So we can kind of, not that we have to break the whole game down, but it gives us a lot of information on that team. So you can do it that way, where you put 1 game here, 2nd game here, 3rd game, 4th game, so on and so forth. And then what you can do is go through and compile that data. So what I'll do is I'll go through and we'll just take 1 master map. Let's say we got our back 3 bunkers. I'm going to make a really simple field layout here. S1, S2. And we got an X, right? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to take the data that I have from the games and I'm going to mark out how many times they went to each bunker. So let's say like the back left corner, if they go there 5 out of the 5 games that you watched, right? Yeah, that's probably someone that if there's any possibility of doubling up lanes or tripling up lanes, getting 2 or 3 people to shoot at them off the break, it's probably a good shot to take, right? Because we know the guy's going to go there, especially if we can find effective shots. But by scouting and doing this, it gives you the ability to kind of adjust your plan a little bit to target and pick on people, right? Especially if you know this guy's the big slow guy on the team and he's run there every game and no one shot him all day. He's probably confident. He's probably going to try to go there again, right? So now, again, we can use that strategy of getting 2 or 3 guns on that guy just to get that 1 elimination, right? Like sometimes, this is kind of a tip inside of this whole thing, but there's times where it's better to put 2 or 3 guns on 1 person and get that elimination, like guarantee that elimination, as opposed to putting 3 guns in 3 different places where maybe you'll get them, maybe you won't, right? Like, you know, the more we can put into a surefire thing, get that quick elimination, maybe then we can push this D side or whatever, can be a good idea. But anyway, I'll go through and I'll move all the data over so I know, you know, the back center, they got a 4 out of 5, and so on and so forth, 3 out of 5, and I'll mark exactly where they go. So before we play this team, like for you guys, it's probably going to be in finals, right? But before you play this team, you know their tendencies, right? What they like to do. And again, they may change everything in finals. They may change this and that, but most teams that are winning are going to stick with what's working. So, you know, and most of these things that are safe spots, like the back left, if they view it that way, probably going to take it if it gives them the advantage, right? So anyway, that's what I'll do is I'll go through and, like I said, I use a map for each game, and then I'll move all the data onto one sheet for each team. So I'd have one for, you know, locally I'd have one for BTA, I'd have one for Ninjas if they're playing the tournament, one for Dogs, one for DVS Factory, 2, or whoever else it happens to be, right? I'd have a sheet for each team that we're going to play ideally, right? The other way you can do this if you just want to use one layout is to go through and basically just make hash marks, right? So you go through and, you know, if they go to the back left, the back center, back right, Dallas, Seattle, you got your marks there. That's game 1. For game 2, I'll go through and put a 2, or even another hash mark, whatever you want, right? 2, 2, they took snake corner, gateway, they went to the back center. But you can go through and mark it that way. So now you can kind of the same thing where you can see what they did game 1, see what they did game 2, game 3. And it is kind of important to make these marks with the 2 or 3, whatever game number it is, because you may find that, like, you know, say we get to game 5. Game 5, they go to, you know, D4, the snake, the corners, they push up the middle. You may find that's because we're later in the event and it's a desperation point or whatever, and you can kind of like logically reason that out then. So, but anyway, that's how you're going to go through and scout. Is you do want to, that's how you get it on paper, right? So I do also suggest check the schedule, right? You know, if you guys know, you're going to want to know what teams you play, right? I believe for most of you guys in this race 2 format, you're going to know the teams that you're up against in prelims. You're going to want to know what those teams are, so that way when they get on the field, you can watch them, right? And it's real quick and easy. All you got to do is have your field layouts at your little staging area or somewhere convenient to be able to grab them and quickly mark that stuff down, right? Breakouts are the biggest ones. Also, we said we're looking for tendencies, so breakouts are the biggest one because that's pretty easy to modify your breakout to adjust for that. But it's also a good idea if you can to just watch the entire game, because again, you may find that you know, someone always goes to the center part of the field and breaks over to the Doritos or breaks over to the snake, and it's easy enough to sneak a guy into, like, say a center, like I'll say W, even though the W is not there, but maybe a brick that's in the middle, where like I'll just put this map up here again, is let's say the guy goes up to like a center can, there's a brick here, and I know this is totally you know, a small little map, but so let's say that let's see here, we know that this guy's been going up into the center and then he likes to come over to the 50 Dorito. Well, if we know that in the 50 here, I know that I can send a body here to kind of watch this next these gaps, right? And even if there's a corner, the corner's not going to be able to wrap and shoot me in. So it gives me that ability to kind of bait that player, right? If we know that they're doing that consistently, right? And so again, this example, every field layout's going to be a little bit different. But as you see those players making those moves and doing those things, now you can start adjusting and saying, hey, you know, maybe I need to cruise over to, you know, let's say this is the snake here. Maybe I need to cruise over to, there's a Dorito on this side, you know, the snake side. Maybe I need to cruise over here off the break if we can to get this inside cross shot and be sneaky about it, right? So anyway, there's that. And that's essentially how you're going to do this. Like I said, make sure you print plenty of maps, or bring plenty of paper. And also, as long as you guys are all on the same page for the bunker names, you don't even necessarily have to bring layouts. I know for Ninja Ball it doesn't get pre-release and all this and that. So just bring blank paper, right? And each time, you can just write it down. Okay, they went to the 1, the 2, the 3, S1, D1, right? And that's game 1, you know? And you can do it that way also, you know, where now you've just written down 1, 2, 3, Seattle, D1, right? That's their breakout. Same thing, but it gives you have the tendency then, so you can make a game plan against it. So anyway, that's how you scout. Very simple, but it's critical that you come prepared with the materials to do that, and ideally that your equipment's working perfectly, or working very well, obviously, so you're not spending time working on your gear, put new batteries in it, this or that, so you can actually take the time to do these things. This is what winning teams do, is they're watching other people so they can counteract to what the other teams are doing. So anyway, scouting.